Welcome back, everybody, to Thinking Critical. This is geek-span. We're here to bring you your geek culture 411. And with me, is, as always, is my partner in crime, Skipintosh. What's up, buddy?
Man, just coming and ready to talk about some news, man, because there's been a lot of interesting news this week. So let's get into it.
Yeah, I lose internet for 10 days and everything happened. So it was tough picking out 6 topics today, but I think you're going to give the first one, right?
That would be me. So Warner Brothers released the first trailer for Wonder Woman 1984. Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot returned for the sequel to the characters that finally delivered a winner for critics and viewers. Wes, do you have any big takeaways from the Wonder Woman 84 trailer?
You know, I really liked the trailer, and I'm definitely going to go see the movie. I didn't like Wonder Woman maybe as much as everyone, but I did think it was thoroughly enjoyable, especially that middle portion, which was almost perfect. Like that middle 45 minutes. You know, I didn't love the ending. The beginning wasn't perfect, but it was so much fun. And it looks like this movie is going to be a lot more of the middle portion. You know, they don't have to do all the origin stuff. The only thing that's kind of got me a little on edge is Steve Trevor. So the impact of Steve Trevor, you know, sacrificing himself in Wonder Woman is felt, you know, in Justice League. It's even in Batman versus Superman, you know, it's part of one of the themes of that movie there. So it feels like it can't really be him, but they might be undoing the impact of the death and the sacrifice that Steve Trevor made. So that's the only thing that I'm not really liking. Otherwise, everything else looks great. Although I'm not the biggest fan of the 80s.
I'm a big 80s fan, especially the music and stuff like that. And I'm a big cyberpunk fan, and that's kind of when cyberpunk took off. So I am one of those people that really, really like the 80s. The hairdos, not the biggest fan of, but so many bands like The Cure and, you know, tons and tons of bands. And I'm a big Prince fan, as everybody knows. So that was like everybody thinks his creative peak. But all that aside, I was very, very pleased with the trailer. I liked it a lot. It was exciting. It was fun. I liked what I saw. One of the biggest things that I was concerned about that I did see from some of the leaked photos was Pedro Pascal's Maxwell Lord and how it looked. It looked terrible to me in the the photos that had gotten out, but in the trailer, he actually looked fantastic to me. I even liked the one scene where he was like, I don't know what it was that he was holding, but you know, he's got the evil guy hair cocked kind of half over his eye. And he's like, and I was like, dang, it looks good. And even like the infomercial that he's giving and, you know, his product. And obviously I feel like a lot of, you know, whatever went on with Steve Trevor is going to be tied into Maxwell Lord and him offering people everything that they've ever wanted. So I feel like those two things will be linked, but I'm still not sure exactly the physics of how one swings on lightning, but damn it, it looked cool. It was amazing. And, you know, a little bit of, I'm one of those people where I'm like, these aren't real people anyway. They're not real characters. You got to suspend disbelief a little bit. And if someone comes up with a good enough idea that's executed really well, I can totally give them that. This is, a mythical, magical world that these characters are living in. So I'm totally fine with it. But I really like Patty Jenkins, not only as an actress, but anytime she's interviewed or asked about things, I feel like she's a person of class. She always answers questions very well. I feel like she is pro-fan. And pro people coming to her movies and people who spend money on it. Another reason why I was concerned is because the movie had already gotten pushed back a little bit. So, you know, it's looking like they're taking their time. And then, of course, one of the things that I was a little worried about, which they didn't really show us, and I'm fine with it, it's the first trailer, but we saw a little progression of Kristen Wiig's Cheetah. Yeah. So we saw like a small progression. I want to see what she ultimately looks like, but I'll be honest with you, I really like Kristen Wiig, however you say her name, so much that I'm kind of just gonna roll with it, and as long as it's not executed terribly, I'm kind of for it because I like the chemistry that her and Gal had in the trailer. So I'm looking forward to it, Wes.
I think they were smart not to throw her in as actual Cheetah. You know, just show her as the kind of the meek person at the very beginning, you know, before she does her progression. I don't know if she can really pull off intimidating, but, you know, Patty Jenkins, you know, really delivered on the first movie. And Gal Gadot, like, you can just see it. She was born to play Wonder Woman. Like she looks great in the outfit. She owns the screen, and I do like that. Pedro Pascal might be a bit of a scene stealer, but I don't think he's going to be able to overshadow her and her portrayal as Diana Prince at all.
Yeah, their scenes are going to be awesome. I totally feel it. She's so charming. And I was wrong about her. I was like, terrible choice. We haven't even seen her act very much. I was so wrong about Gal, and I'm so happy that I was. So I can't wait to see her and Pedro share some scenes. It's going to be pretty awesome.
So after the character's untimely demise in X-Force #1, Marvel Girl successfully resurrected Charles Xavier in X-Force #3. I personally thought the return of Professor X was a bit anticlimactic. Skip, what were your thoughts on the resurrection of Charles Xavier?
Not only was it a little anticlimactic, but I also didn't like it was very anticlimactic, honestly. And it's not even that I didn't like it, it's just the way that it happened. I felt like he couldn't be gone for that long, but in a sense, I also kind of wish, like seeing how he was brought back, I kind of wish that he was gone a little bit longer. And I know that they tried to build a little bit of uncertainty with like, can we bring him back? But I don't feel like that was maybe the one critique, or maybe two, I guess, from Ben Percy's writing, is that I don't feel like they built enough uncertainty on bringing him back. Because I was like, what is there to be uncertain about? The way that Hickman set it up, it sounds like it'd be pretty straightforward, and I don't see why Marvel Girl wouldn't be able to use Cerebro to make it happen. And we already know that he got backed, and we already know he had reverted himself back a few versions anyway. So I'm like, I don't see. I mean, and he couldn't have. I mean, I guess in a sense he couldn't have like reverted himself back, right? Like someone else would have had to wear Cerebro to do it.
No,
I don't know.
He did it.
He did it
to himself 4 times. Yeah. Like that's the way I understood it, yeah.
And that's the way I understood it too. And think about it in the moment, I was like, could he have reverted himself back? Doesn't he have to imprint his own? But that's totally fine. I mean, like, I'm not someone who's always looking to poke holes in stories, because this is fictional world anyway. Just don't have big globbing holes. But I don't feel like the uncertainty was earned. And then when he finally did come back, I don't feel like it was as big of an impact. But what I did like, obviously, was, the old crushed Cerebro, how it was turned into a sword. And there's Joe or Sal from Comic Pop channel on YouTube had put up a thing how the sword that Magneto made really, really resembled the sword that was used by one of the Four Horsemen, or maybe Apocalypse, in the original island of I think it was Araka, or I don't know how to pronounce the island, but the original island before Krakoa.
I think it's
Okara, before they split off into 2 islands. So I thought that was really interesting. But what did you think about how he came back west?
I thought it was anticlimactic. They were building up some tension in X-Force #2, like there was some uncertainty or some doubt, or maybe Marvel Girl hasn't done the procedure, so maybe she's going to fail, or something was going to go wrong, and then he just came back. But the one real critique I do have about the comic is the 2 white pages where the bodies of the assassins blow up and kill a character off panel, essentially. And then the second one, when they're talking about the sword of Cerebro, I think that was a real missed opportunity to actually show Charles Xavier's return to the island with the mutants, because it talks about it, and then what he does with the sword, because it sounds like the sword's going to be important moving forward. So I feel like there were some missed moments to do something impactful and make the death feel, really important, because I think ultimately the way he came back, it kind of backs up a lot of readers' fears that death isn't important anymore. Okay, he just comes back.
Right.
So I felt like it should have felt bigger, but X-Force #3 is a great comic book. That's like literally the only bad thing. But it was, kind of a big event. I thought it would be a more impactful and a bigger event in the comic book.
I agree, and this was probably the first time, like I've said before, that some of the white pages weren't well executed. They weren't fully taken advantage of. But this is definitely the first time where I felt like I would have rather had 2 pages of seeing him come back, seeing there be a little bit of an issue with them coming back, a little more tension in the moment, building a little bit like, hey, is this him? And then because even in Marauders, when what's his name, Sebastian Shaw's son came back, they did the whole event like, hey, this is our brother, and where they test him out and he answers properly. Mm-hmm. They even had a little bit of that in there. I'm like, why wouldn't the whole island go crazy on seeing Professor X, their leader, return? And I would think they would have the biggest ceremony or that type of thing for him, but that didn't get shown. And then, like you said, not only that, but then the explosion, and then of the 5 intruders' bodies blowing up, and then Healer getting killed off panel. I did like the scene where Magneto is the one that has to go and talk to them, and then Charles walks through and is like, "I got it, old friend." That's good writing. But I agree. I would have rather done without the white pages at all. Mm-hmm. Or add additional pages so we can see that. And I can tell. So this is some of the stuff with editorial where they're rushing these books out so quick that things like that, I'm sure Benjamin Percy would have been down to do. And even who's the artist again?
Josh Cassara.
Yeah, Josh Cassara, right? Mm-hmm. Would have been tickled to show, but editorials pushing him out too quick, and his art is already good and it took a step up, but you can only push people and colorists so much before the art will suffer, and I don't want the art to suffer. So, but overall still mm-hmm. like easily the best of all of the X books out, like flat out,
bar none.
Yep, indeed. So along with that, Marvel announced that their television division is shutting down and future projects are canceled. Current Marvel television production are folding into the Marvel Studios branch. This follows Kevin Feige's increased creative control on Marvel and former TV boss Jeff Lebb's exit. Wes, is this good news or bad news?
This is terrible news. I like the MCU, but it's very formulaic, and over time it's just gotten more and more formulaic. The jokes are all kind of the same. It's kind of gotten stale. There's only really been one villain that's gotten any type of real screen presence, and that was Thanos. And technically in Endgame, he was the protagonist, in my opinion. So I really like Daredevil. I like the portrayal of Kingpin. And you would never get that from Marvel Studios. They would never give the villain enough time to get fleshed out and become that cool. They never did it with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And some of the other productions that even Marvel Television was doing that were kind of associated with the movies, at least at the beginning. So I think we're losing some of the variety that's going to be coming out of the Marvel TV shows. And variety is absolutely the spice of life. And it's what I like. I think it's all going to get kind of watered down. It's all going to be kind of the same. And it's happening with Disney Plus, and that I think it's terrible news. I couldn't be more disappointed.
Yeah, I thought I was going to be a lot more excited about it than I actually feel. And now that I'm thinking back, because I was one of those people that I watched every season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. up until I think about 3 seasons ago, or 2 seasons ago, and then that's when I was like kind of late on issues. Or episodes I'd jump in, jump out. But that was one thing, even though it was supposed to be closely tied to the MCU. You definitely felt the difference. And I like that there was a difference between the two, mm-hmm. especially all of the Netflix stuff we saw and felt how different that was. For better or for worse, at least it was a different flavor and vibe, and we got a little bit more time, sometimes too much time with the villains. And I was never a really big fan. Like I didn't invest a lot of time in the Cloak and Dagger. I didn't invest a lot of time into what you got,
Legion on FX?
Legion, I heard really, really good things. Still never watched it, but I heard fantastic things, and I'm down to go check it out. And I think it was the Gifted, and there was like one of the mm-hmm. the Runaways or whatever. Never watched those, but just from seeing them, I could tell it was a different flavor. And we're not going to get that much variety, like you said, with them going over there. But personally, I think the biggest victim of all of this, if you will, or the biggest casualty was easily that Ghost Rider series, because I forget the actor's name.
Spinoff,
right? Yeah, the spinoff. But since the beginning, and I would even say period, that actor and his portrayal of Robbie Reyes and the I'll say gravitas and even the gravity and the greatness that he brought and the charisma was second to none. Like throughout the whole series, he was fantastic, and he really like commanded attention on the screen. And it's a shame that he ended up being, a part of the Terminator or whatever, Dark Fate or Final Fate, whatever that movie was. But he is a fantastic actor, and he's really, really good. And I really wanted him to get his own series. I was actually looking forward to watching that. And we won't get to see it now because it's all been folded into this other thing. So that's been the biggest casualty to me personally, outside of, like I said, like, you said too, just the lack of variety that we're going to get going forward. I'm actually looking forward to a lot of the Marvel shows, but it's just that variety is going to be gone, and that's too bad.
Social media is buzzing. Battle lines are being drawn after the release of the first Ghostbusters Afterlife trailer. The film is a direct sequel to the original Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2 films, seemingly ignoring the recent female-led Ghostbusters movie. Are Sony and director Jason Reitman making the right move, ignoring the recent failed reboot?
I'm going to say yes, because it wasn't something that was like, there wasn't a lot of people that liked it. There's not like a really big fan base for it. If they were ignoring something that fans really enjoyed and that would net them more money from a business sense and from a creative sense, I would say that's a bad move. But from a creative sense, there wasn't a lot of people that really enjoyed that movie. I hear most people's favorite part about it was actually Chris Hemsworth's portrayal and his acting in it and his comedy. But outside of that, it didn't do well in the theaters. Like, it wasn't something that people were really looking forward to. And so financially and creatively, I think it's fine that they ignore it. And not only that they ignore it, I really like what they did closely pay attention to and add into the trailer, which that's the stuff that, like, people that are fans of Ghostbusters, that's the type of stuff that we want to see, what they did show, what they did allude to. And I have to admit, I've never seen one single episode of Stranger Things. So I'm a little ignorant to the criticism that it seems like it's just going to be Stranger Things again because they got the actor, the young male actor from it. But Wes, like, how did you feel when you watched the trailer?
It looks like a lot of fun. I really like Paul Rudd. He's like, probably as far as actors go, he's probably the easiest to like. He seems just like a normal guy. I'm from Kansas City. He's from Kansas City. We like the same sports team. He just seems like a normal dude. I think he's the perfect person to put into a spot like this. No one's going to be like, oh, how'd you pick Paul Rudd? Like, oh, that guy's, he's fun. I do feel bad, for fans of the reboot. There are some people who that is their Ghostbusters film, and those are their Ghostbusters. Unfortunately, it didn't take off. I watched the movie on a plane ride over here to the Philippines, and it was atrocious. There was almost, I watched the whole thing. There was not a redeeming quality about it. It wasn't funny. The special effects actually weren't very good, even though they're more modern. I preferred the stuff from the originals. And I didn't even like the cameos. I didn't even think those were very good. So I think they're probably smart. It was rejected by audiences. You could do what they try to do with Terminator and just keep going with it. And people just keep rejecting it more as you go along. Probably smart to just to ditch the dead weight, go back to what made the series, a phenomenon to begin with, and see if you can get the formula right this time with Jason Reitman, who was the son of the original director for Ghostbusters. And it looks like they're going to make a lot of money. A lot of people are really happy with that trailer.
I agree. It's looking pretty good. And so DC Comics are releasing issue 750 of Wonder Woman in January and Flash in February. Following the milestone issues, DC will begin using legacy numbering for both stories moving forward. Are DC trying to celebrate the rich history of both characters, or do you think there's more to this?
All right. So I don't believe that they're like, oh, why weren't we celebrating the rich history of Wonder Woman and Flash? Listen, They're right around the corner from 800. I'll be shocked if they don't start, shipping these out twice monthly when 5G. I think they've been monthly books. Actually, you know what? Flash is probably still twice monthly. And they want to get to 800 so they can charge $12 for another comic book on both of them. And since it's another milestone, they'll both sell 150,000 or 200,000. They'll make a lot of money off of them. I don't think DC really cares about the rich history of the characters. We all know that they're both about to be ripped, or basically about to be terminated, and they're going to be replaced with younger, newer characters anyway. So it's certainly not about that. If DC Comics were about respecting the rich history and legacy of the characters, Rebirth would still be going on right now, and they diverted that away from that as soon as they possibly could. So it's definitely not about that. This is definitely a cash grab, and I see right through it. What do you think?
Oh yeah, it's the same thing. It's a cash grab. I mean, like they want number ones, and if they can't get number ones, then they'll settle for 750s or they settle for 800s. And you're right, Wes. I double checked. It looks like whereas before I think they were monthly titles, they did start double shipping because it talked about how like Wonder Woman, basically when I saw that it hit 750, it was out for every 2 weeks because it had the other release dates, and it was every 2 weeks that they were pushing it out. And then the same thing with Flash. After Flash hit it there, then it was out every 2 weeks. So yeah, they're going to fast track to 800. They're going to charge people buku bucks for it. They're going to keep it going for a little bit longer, and then as those numbers start to dwindle, as they will dwindle fast, they're going to put out the 5G thing. They're going to replace the characters with new younger characters. They're going to push all these characters over to DC Black Label, or they're already charging more money per issue. And I get it that like it is better paper quality. The stories tend to be a little bit more quality stories. The art is fantastic. The books are a little bigger. I get it, but they're going to charge us more over there for the characters that we know and we enjoy. And then they're going to put out a bunch of number ones on the regular DC label. So the legacy numbers won't even matter. Like, trust me, once they get past those, when they push them over to DC Black Label, the legacy numbers are going to be gone again, and then they're going to be back to number ones. And then
until they get close to 1,000, then they'll come back.
Yeah, then there's hey, don't forget that we remember it's like it's the same thing. They keep doing the same tactics, man. It's nothing new. So that's all that it is.
Yeah, I saw right through that. But I will say this: the creative team they have for Flash 750, the beginning of Flash Age, looks amazing. They've got all the standout writers. They got Josh Williamson, Jeff Johns is on there, Francis Manuel. Like, they really loaded that one up. Whereas the creative team for Wonder Woman 750 is like hot garbage. Yeah, it's a bunch of writers that have nothing to do with Wonder Woman. They didn't even George Perez doesn't even get a credit on it. Like, but you couldn't get someone to help write a story with him. I know he's retired. He's got some issues with his eyesight, I believe. But how was George Perez not on your Wonder Woman 750? Get out of here with that
cover. That's all they did. They gave him a variant cover.
Disgusting.
Come on.
But Flash 750 looks amazing.
Yeah, it does.
So, final topic. Following up on the enormous success of Disney Plus series The Mandalorian, Marvel Comics are releasing a new Star Wars Bounty Hunters comic. The series features 3 bounty hunters from the original movie trilogy: Beelit Valance, Boba Fett, and Boss. Skip, you're a Star Wars fan. You picking up what the Marvel Comics are putting down here?
I'm a little on the fence on this one, which is kind of feels weird for me because I've been enjoying the Mandalorian, and I was talking about that Boba Fett one-shot book as well, and like I enjoyed that book. But anytime it comes like this, where it's like, oh, they're liking that, let's put a book out, I'm always like, hold on, wait, is there a fresh idea? And you just got, and like there's a fresh idea, a good idea that you're gonna, is that the reason why you're putting out the book, or are you just putting it out because it's cash grab season? And to me, it's pretty obvious it's cash grab season. Now, even though it's cash grab season, that doesn't mean that that the book that they're putting out won't be of quality. So even though I'm not looking forward to this book, chances are, at the very least, I'm gonna stroll into my local comic book shop. I'm probably going to at least read the first 2 pages, and then I'll decide then. So they've got my attention, but I'm not per se like looking forward to it. Just because I'm enjoying The Mandalorian doesn't mean I want you to start shoving, bounty hunter comic books down my throat. But Wes, what's your take on this, man?
You know, I'm a little bit more optimistic about this. I don't think this is a cash grab. Marvel is wrapping up their Star Wars series. I believe it was this month with the Charles Soule one shot to wrap up all the storylines, and they're rebooting Star Wars in January. The new Vader comes out in February. I'm pretty sure this is probably just in the pipeline, and it's coincidence that it comes up with the Mandalorian. But it's great timing. Get some Boba Fett in there, get Boss. Get some of those classic bounty hunters from the original trilogy that never really got explored much, at least in the movies. And I couldn't be more excited. I really like Ethan Sachs. His Old Man Hawkeye series with Marco Cicchetto as the artist, at least for the first half, is phenomenal. I really liked it. I'm not really liking his Old Man Quill right now, but that's another story. So I think he's going to do a pretty good job. I couldn't be more excited. I'm going to bypass the line to the Rise of Skywalker. And I'm actually going to give me some Marvel comics. I'm definitely getting Charles Soule Star Wars. And I will be getting Ethan Sachs Bounty Hunters comic, at least for a couple issues. I couldn't be more excited. And you know who else is excited? The Real Comic Book Gamer. That dude's been wanting some bounty hunters in comic books for a while. We talked about it a lot.
Okay, awesome. Well, you guys got me a little bit more interested in it. So not that they had turned me off, but if you guys, two people that I trust your taste, if you guys are interested in it, then I'm definitely going to give at least issue number 1 a chance. So we'll see how it goes.
Oh, we got to talk about it right here on Outside the Bleed, baby. We need some good Star Wars stuff on the channel because the movies suck.
Yeah, straight up. You're right. We do. And I love Star Wars, so I'm all about it. Count me in.
Yeah. Star Wars is one of the few things in the world that get me more excited than even DC Comics characters, That's like my first love, my first pop culture love. I used to play with my Star Wars characters every day. I even had like the Darth Vader head.
Yeah.
Where you collect the characters.
Yeah.
So I was about 6 years old, my brothers and I watched wrestling a lot. Yeah. I took my Darth Vader helmet, action carrier. I went up to the top bunk. And I pretended like I was Jimmy Superfly Snook. I went off the top rope with the chair that was the Darth Vader helmet. I knocked my brother out. He was about 9, and then I hid for an hour before he found me and gave me the beating of a lifetime. True story. And I deserved every minute of it. I definitely shouldn't have tried to kill him with my Darth Vader collector.
That's the real Vader bomb. Rest in peace to Vader. That's the real Vader bomb right there. I love it.
So that's going to do it for this week of geek-span. Thank you so much for joining us. Had a great time talking about some movie trailers. We got some comic TV news. We got some comic book news. Skip, you got anything else to say to the audience?
No, just make sure you guys join us in the Discord. Continue these fun pop culture conversations, especially comic book movies, comics, and comic TV show conversations. We got writer rooms, artist alleys. So just come in and, continue the conversation. We've got a lot more people joining, and there's always something in there to discuss. So we appreciate everybody who's been a part of it, and everybody new. Don't be shy. Come on in. It's a fun group.
Also, if you didn't watch the Outside the Bleed that came on before this, if you want to see Skip and I smile about a great comic book that everyone should be reading, definitely check that out because we had a great time recording that one. And then that's a great comic book. Thanks, everybody.